Your mother and I are down at Pattaya Beach, and I think yesterday was Friday the 13th, February the 13th. I spent a rather a busy morning at the office, and then decided to take about a half a day off, compensatory time, and we were invited to Kun Prinya's home at Pattaya Beach. I'm not trying to talk too loud this morning because I don't want to awaken anyone. But this also must be Valentine's Day, because when I got up this morning at 4:30, and as soon as I finished my exercises in the nice, lovely bedroom here, overlooking the bay here at Pattaya, I saw an envelope in my wallet. So I went in the bathroom and turned the light on, looked at it, and it was a valentine from your mother. And it said something about a valentine from your whole harem. And then inside it said, "I'd better be your whole harem." And signed, "Much love, Mother." Well, it was very, very nice. Last year, I had the idea of getting some valentines. We'd send them all out to the kids. But for some reason or other, we got busy and never sent them out. So I think Mother did send them out this past week. Well, Steve and Donna, I brought down a few language tapes. Thought I might have a chance to practice my Thai a little bit. And I also tossed in one of the tapes that I prize from you kids. And it was a tape that that Steve had made the most of it, Donna. And but it was one of his finer tapes, and it was one that I get a lot of pride in, and believe it or not, a lot of strength in listening to. Many years ago, there were times when Steve and I didn't hit it off too well together. And I was always praying for that day when we would have a better understanding. And that tape that you made, Stephen, I don't know whether you remember it, but you told about Donna Joe taking Mary to school. You also talked about your job. And you had an inner complacency and peace about you that I admired. You'll have to excuse me just a little bit. I guess I'm a little bit nostalgic. This morning, this Pattaya Beach is a beautiful place, and I'm glad that I got Mother down here, because I think it's going to do her some good too. Kunprinya has built a very beautiful home here. We have stayed at several of his homes that he has sold to either retired Army people or people who are working for the SO refinery over at Siricha. He's built about a total of 29 homes here in Pattaya. But this one he started over a year ago, probably 2 years ago. It's built out on a point overlooking the bay. And it's built in the form of a broad A, with the broad part of the A facing out over the point. And the left-hand leg of the A to the south is a guest house, complete with 2 large bedrooms, huge bedrooms with bath. Lovely furniture. They're pebbled floors. They're set in concrete and all hand polished. They look like they came out of the bottom of a mountain creek bed. All the stones go anywhere from 2 to 3 inches, kind of oblong shape, in little different sizes, some variation in size. The place has beautiful decor. Each one has its own balcony out overlooking the bay. I noticed Mother got up this morning about the time that I got to the bathroom, turned off the air conditioner, and opened the jalousie glass windows so we could hear the surf and hear the waves splashing up against a part of the rocks on the shore here. I can see it's not daylight yet, and I can see the lights of the fishing boats. They fish here at night. The primary catch here is for the small squid, and I've even learned to like them here. Mother doesn't care for them. They're called plamuk. Pla, P-L-A-R, means fish in Thai. But this Pattaya Beach, and the way it is right now, gives one an inner sense and feeling as though with nature, and after the hurly-burly traffic noise and rush of Bangkok, this is indeed a nice place to come. Well, I just went in the house to back into the bedroom to borrow Mother's mosquito repellent. I had a few mosquitoes out here that were beginning to hound me just a little bit. It's now getting daylight. In fact, I can see some of the little islands out here, about a half-mile offshore. And the fishing boats look like some of them are heading in for port over at Pattaya, the main part of the Pattaya. I was telling you about this beautiful home of Kumprinya's. The other side of the leg on the A extends out to on the north side, and Kunprinya and his wife Bunsri have their bedroom and apartment on that side. Then if you were to strike a line right from the vertex of the A between the two legs, there's a building in there. It's a central building. It looks to be about excuse me, a good 130 feet long. It's a long room. An assembly room, or a large dining area where when he has lots of guests here, they can gather. This is almost a small palace. Kumprinya's sister stays here at Pattaya all the time, and she looks after his business interests here. Prinya and Bunsri spend nearly every weekend here. His sister's name is Saisuni. She's a lovely Thai woman, and she's a very hard worker. She supervises the work of construction around here and the building of many of Prinya's homes here. And Mother and I didn't want to bother her last night, so we went down to the JustMag compound. That means the Joint Military Assistance Program to Thailand, and that's where there are a lot of the soldiers go on R&R down here, and they have a small PX there and a nice movie theater and restaurant. And so we went down there last night for our dinner. I'm just out walking around a few minutes, and I don't think that Kumprini was able to make it last night, he and Bunsri. So they'll probably come in this morning. So rather than bother Saisuni, we'll probably go back over to the JustMag area and recreational area and have our breakfast. It's getting light enough that I still haven't taken my morning jog, so I'll probably take it along the beach. I just love to run along this beach barefooted. I just hope someday that you kids have a chance to visit a place like this. I hope such a place will exist when you can afford it. Maybe later in the tape I can take this recorder down near the beach and so that you and the kids can hear the sound of the waves. I know you've heard these many times before, but you at least say that you'd heard the sound of the waves in the Bay of Siam, or Siam, whichever way you want to pronounce it, here in Thailand. Well, I took this down here to the seaside a few minutes ago and run it on the batteries, hoping I'd catch the waves, but it didn't work, so I went back upstairs and tried it with the power, and it worked okay, and finally decided the batteries must be jolted loose on the inside. So I see it's running, so I'll let you hear some of the waves in the Gulf of Siam. Well, I'm going to go take my morning walk now and jog and go get Mother and have some breakfast. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that Mother will be able to come on and tell you a little bit about her impressions of Pattaya before we leave here. Dear Donna and Steve, this is the old man back again. After I talked with you this morning, Mother and I were going to go down and have some breakfast at Just Mag, I think I mentioned, but I went out into the kitchen, and Saisini, Umprimia's sister-in-law, had eggs and ham and coffee and toast all ready to go, all ready for us. So we had breakfast here. I ran out of black and white film and also out of U.S. dollars since they have a post exchange here, so decided to go down and get a check cashed at the exchange, but they didn't open until 10 o'clock, so we had about an hour and 15 or 20 minutes to wait. So we decided we'd go over and visit some folks by the name of Sauder, Mr. and Mrs. Bob Sauder. Her name was Elizabeth. We became acquainted with them at the King's and Queen's Charity Ball at the Siam Intercontinental Hotel about several months ago, and we struck up quite a mutual acquaintanceship with them, and we seemed to like one another very much, and they were over at our place several times, and they wanted us to come down and see them when we came to Pattaya. We had kind of a difficult time. The Thai have a very difficult time with as much difficulty with English names as we have with Thai names. And I had asked the maid where we thought the Sauders lived. I didn't think they were there because they had a lot of furniture piled up on the front porch and a lot of other things. It looked like no one was home. But she called another servant, and he said that the Sauders, Mr. Bob, lived over in another compound. So Mother and I busily waited so they unchained the gate, and we went into another compound, and this was a Lieutenant Colonel Forrester, and they told us that we were in the right place, that the Sauders lived back there. So we went back through the gate again after tipping the guard, and so Mother and I had a nice visit with Mrs. Sauder. We were almost ready to leave. We were going to leave our card and say we had been there. We were sorry we missed them when I heard someone back in there, an English voice, and sure enough, it was Mrs. Sauder herself. They were moving out of that place. It belonged to Dr. Banshurd. Dr. Banshurd is the Director General of the Department of Land Development, with whom we're providing assistance to. But it was a lousy place to live, apparently. They had only been in there about a month. Mrs. Sauder had been in the States. In fact, she came in on the same TWA plane from the States that Susan went out on a week ago last Thursday. So it was quite a coincidence. But they're moving down closer to the Sadaheep Naval Base. It's going to be a Thai base after we finish constructing it. In fact, it's finished now, but the Thai plan to make a deep sea port out of this, and there's still lots of our Navy personnel, and the big airfield down there is where the big B-52s take off from to bomb Vietnam. So they gave us their approximate location. I don't know that I've told you or not. We have our car up for sale. We've had several people look at it. We put it up for sale this last week. We put it for sale for about $1,200, hoping that we might be able to sell it for $1,000. It's worth about $800 in the States in top-notch condition with an air conditioner. So we're asking $1,000 for it over here. That is, we're asking $1,200, but we'll talk down to $1,000. Let's put it that way. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Sauder seemed real interested in the car too. So tomorrow we'll try to arrange to meet them again, or before we go back to Bangkok, we may drive down to their place. They live just this side of Sadaheep, about 5 kilometers. And if you look on your map and see the Gulf of Thailand, and you follow down the coast to a tip, not many maps show Pattaya Beach, but they show Chonburi and Rayong and those areas. But it's down on that tip on the bay. It's a sharp point. Some of the new maps show it as Sadaheep Naval Base. So after breakfast, we took a drive down to pick up some film, visited with Mrs. Sauder, And then at about 10 o'clock, we went over to the exchange and had a cup of coffee. And I got a check cashed and bought some film because I'll be going out next week, travel all next week, going up to Nakorn Phnom and visit a couple of places there, and then to Sukarnakorn, and then on down to Ubon, and then fly home Thursday, this coming Thursday. Mother here is quietly reading. She says she's not ready to talk yet. She may talk here in a little bit, but this is certainly, as I've told you, a real nice place. Prenias have not arrived yet. Mr. Prenia went to what they call an old boys party. Some of his old friends, whom he attended the war college with, and so they probably had a big night last night, and he may not be back till maybe even around noon. We're expecting them back any minute. I've been debating whether to go down and take a swim. I've been waiting, too, for the sun to come out a little bit more. It's a little bit overcast right now, and I've been hoping that the sun would come out brightly enough so that I could take some inside shots, at least in black and white, of Kuhn Prenia's spacious summer home here. It'll be his retirement home when he retires in 10 years. He's about 10 years younger than I am. But his wife, Boonsri, you may have heard us speak of them before, and I think you've seen their pictures in a slide that we have of both Prenia and Boonsri sitting at one end of their living room in their other home that they sold. You ready to do any talking to the kids, honey? No, she isn't yet, so maybe this is running off the hook. No, we still got lots of time here. I see this I think this is one of those 1 hour and a half tapes. No, I beg your pardon, it's 2 hours, 120 minutes. You mentioned, Steve, that these tapes are kind of difficult sometimes to use because of they're so thin that sometimes they get wound up on the capstan. Well, we hope nothing happens on this one. A few moments ago, I was talking about the B-52s. I just heard them roar overhead. They make daily trips out of Sadaheep, and of course you can hear them come across the Bay Area here. They're many miles high, but you can still hear the roar of those jet engines. As you may have read in the papers recently, the intensity of the communist campaign in Laos is getting a little bit hotter day by day. Here in Thailand, it remains about the same. There's about the same amount of infiltration coming across the border and raising hell with the Thai forces and Thai villagers. This has been going on ever since we've been in Thailand. But they picked up the intensity of the war in Laos. There are a hell of a lot more Vietnamese now, North Vietnamese, moving into both into Cambodia and also into Laos, working with the Pathet Lao. And I see that some of the congressmen are getting quite perturbed over the fact that as to the extent of our involvement in Laos. Well, I'll tell you, the Laotians are not as well prepared as the Thai and some of the others, and they really need some help. It's a debatable question whether we ought to be helping them, but if we were not, it wouldn't be long until they would overrun Laos and would be right at Thailand's front door at Vientiane. And believe me, that the minute that if it ever happens that they get to Vientiane, why, Mom and I are taken out of here, whether our tour is up or not. Well, I see Mother wants to turn on the fan, but I think maybe the power's off right now. They turn the power off sometimes during the daytime. Well, I'll say goodbye again. This is a long tape, and we may have some more stuff to tell you a little later on. Bye-bye. You know, Steve, Donna, they used to talk about when they spoke of Thailand, about the many Chinese people here. Right now we've got the population of Bangkok since we've been here has increased from about 2.3 million to a little over 3 million people now in the Bangkok, Thonburi area. Well, Kun Prinya and Boonsri just drove in, and so we went out to greet them. They have some other guests here. They're here on business, I think, waiting to see them. Kun Prinya is always busy when he comes down here, and there are many people wanting to see him. Boonsri herself is a very talented Thai woman who is now, she's head of the School of Administration and Business at Chulalongkorn University. She has the same rank in government circles as a Director General. And for a while she outranked her husband, Kun Prinya. But Kun Prinya has now been elevated. He used to be in the Department of Land Development, but he's been recently given a promotion to Undersecretary in the Ministry of National Development. I was talking with you about, Steve, as I sat here looking at this Sanyo tape recorder, and I see so many Japanese products here. Of course, there are many American products. Kun Prinya has installed quite a few American products in his homes. American standard plumbing, along with some English plumbing, and Weatherite, Westinghouse air conditioning, ceiling fans, and the like. But Kun Prinya is also a very close and very dear friend of Kun Bunchana, who's a former ambassador of Thailand to the United States. Bunchana left the United States about a year ago. In fact, while we were in Washington, he invited us to his home for dinner. He is now the Minister of Economic Affairs in Thailand and is very much concerned with Thailand's balance of trade. And he works very closely with the commerce departments of other nations from the standpoint of trade balances and trying to improve the export position of Thailand and balance of trade, both in the export of her many products, in addition to rice, corn, cotton, rubber, tin, and kinaf. Kinaf is a fiber very much like hemp, and that they make burlap bags from. But the Japanese, in the past 2 or 3 years, have moved in, and when I mean moved in, they've moved in more than the Chinese. You know, they used to talk about the Chinese being the Jews of the Orient. Well, they're taking over. The Japanese are taking over number one position. They operate a little bit like this. They move into one industry, and then very inauspiciously, they'll move into another associated industry that maybe has products that supply this industry, and then they move into where they get, maybe there's 4 or 5 different products go into a finished product in a big manufacturing firm. Well, the Japanese are close enough together then that they start controlling the amount of the raw product that goes to make the manufactured product in Thai, and they eventually crowd their Thai partners out. And Kun Bunchana is aware of this, and there have been several articles written recently in the Thai papers concerning this, that the Japanese have not only done this, but they have their own tourist bureau here. They have their own tourist hotels. They have their tourist guides, so that when a Japanese tourist comes in, he's escorted from the air. He's brought in here by Japan Airlines, met by a Japanese host, taken to a Japanese hotel, goes to a Japanese nightclub, eats Japanese food, and buys Thai antiques through a Japanese store, and all the money gets back to Japan. So this is about the way the deal has been going here. And as you know, I'm not saying I told you so, but I'm also know Kun Bunchana, and he and Kun Prinya and I talked about this thing several not quite several years ago, but about almost 2 years ago, before Kunbunchanal went to the United States as the ambassador. And we pointed out that probably one of the nations that the United States would have the most trouble with next would be Japan over the imbalance of trade, because of the way the Japanese, we have always given the Japanese, they have been able to ship cars ever since we tried to had an aid program with their country. We have let them ship Toyota and other cars in cheaper, with less tax on them than some of the European cars. So they've had this tax advantage. However, by the same token, now that they have one of the most favorable, they have the most favorable trade balance of any nation in the world, they refuse to import American motor parts and American cars except under a very heavy duty. And they think they still want to have unrestricted flow of their silk and cottons in the United States. And with the cheap labor that they have had, why they have been able to undercut and undersell some producers in the United States. Well, this past year there's been our government and the Japanese, we've been trying to get them to agree to voluntary quantities of Japanese cottons goods, and also the polyethylene products and Tetron products going into the United States, but they don't quite agree to this. Yet they've been demanding Okinawa back and several other things. And when they talk about that they're going to relax these restrictions and that they will take voluntary trade, they talk about it 12 to 20 to 24 months hence. Well, anything can happen within those 24 months. And I think that we should get a little bit tougher with them, because Thailand is. And so that Thailand is now having her troubles with Japan, and from the standpoint of trade. The Japanese businessman is very aggressive, and the Japanese tourists are very aggressive and very obnoxious at times. I don't know if we told you when we were home or not, but those pictures I took at the Asian Games, sometimes in the side of the picture you'll see a camera lens sticking out into my picture. Well, that's a Japanese camera that usually stuck out there. And the pictures I took of the elephant roundup when we went down to Surin, all the people that were in front of me and out on the field were Japanese cameramen. They told them to stay inside in certain lines, but they didn't. They just moved on out there. The same way was true at the Rice Festival when I wanted to get pictures of the sacred buffalo pulling the plow in the harvesting ceremony that they have in the spring of the year. And I couldn't take pictures because I couldn't get up close enough because all the Japanese were in front of me. So they are very aggressive people. This is true on the golf courses too. And although I don't like to be prejudiced, I have come to, and I have many Japanese friends, I come to dislike the Japanese people as a whole for their very aggressive and impolite nature. But we're not through having our troubles with Japan yet. I speak of not all Japanese people, but many of these that I've seen in Thailand, and the Japanese as a nation, but I know that when we were in Japan, we met many very fine Japanese people that were very polite and very humble, and wanted to help you in any way they possibly could. Well, good morning, Steve. Good morning, Donna, and Mary, and Patrick. This is Sunday morning. Granddad just got back from taking these exercises, and I ran about a mile this morning and also took a swim in the beach, down at the beach. I just got back and took a shower, and Mother was up. Oh, it's about 7 o'clock now. Kun Prinya is taken off in a Jeep this morning, I think. I don't know where he's gone. But it looks like the dawning of a beautiful day. Yesterday afternoon, I don't know whether we told you that yesterday morning we went down to visit the satyrs, some people that we met in Bangkok. He's one of the port officers down at Satahip, the big naval base, for handling all the commodities that come into the PX exchange, which is an awful lot of commodities that go up all over up country, both to not only here at Satahip and Utapao, but also the big base at Udorn, Ubon, Takli, and Bangkok. So there are lots of commodities go over the country, and his wife just returned from the United States. In fact, she came in on the plane that Susan went out on, but we didn't know this at the time. We didn't know this until yesterday. Father and I went down and visited with her, and we happened to tell them that our car was for sale, and they're looking for a car. So they came up yesterday and looked at it up there to Kunprinia's house, and Bob said, "Well, that's Bob Sater. I'm sure we want it. I don't have permission to buy it yet, tax-free, and of course I don't have permission to sell it yet. I just made an application, but I don't think I know I won't have any problem in getting permission to sell it, but Bob may have a little difficulty in getting permission to buy it here in Thailand tax-free, because they're clamping down on the amount of vehicles coming into the country now." But he gave me a $500 check yesterday, and it kind of feels kind of good. We sold it for $1,000, and he's to pay the other $500 if and when this deal goes through, to give him permission to purchase it. Well, it's nice feeling to have that off our chest and have the car sold. I think that I think that we'll be buying a few more Thailand artifacts, probably to bring home with us. We've been discussing our weight limit. We're going to have to settle down seriously in the next month and just about see what everything weighs, because we don't want to exceed the limit. We've been talking about purchasing a refrigerator. We sold the one that we brought over here. It's a big, either 14 or 16-foot job, and we'd like to have a smaller model and a new one to take home, but there's a weight limitation. Then we've been debating whether or not we wouldn't rather have a few more Thai artifacts, if we wouldn't think more of that, even though we had to pay more for a refrigerator after we got back to the States. Well, I'm sure that this is the first time I've used one of these 120-minute tapes, but there's certainly a lot of time on them. Mom's not feeling too good this morning. Generally she feels pretty good, but I know that this emphysema bothers her. I hear her wheeze at night, and it just scares the hell out of me. But she hasn't quit smoking altogether, but she's almost stopped. Susan said that she was going to quit when she left Bangkok. And incidentally, we got a letter from her the other day, and she had a nice visit with Jack in Frankfurt, and she was in Washington D.C. and by this time she's probably already talked to you on the telephone. She seemed happy. She said she missed Thailand. I'm sure that we're all going to miss Thailand even when we get home. As much as we want to get home and see you all and talk to you and visit with you and live with you again, we're going to miss this place. Mother's so anxious to get home. I don't talk too much to her about about coming back here for part of the year, but we have now that Paul's son John is a Thai citizen. It's possible for us to buy probably a piece of property and put it in his name. I don't know. American citizens are not allowed to purchase property in Thailand. But Kun Prinyith seems to think that if we wanted to come back here for a part of each year, have a small place, that this would be perfectly permissible. And it's possible we may want to do this. I know this, that Mom is going to have to live in a warm climate. Denver may be all right for 2 or 3 months or 4 months out of the year, but I wouldn't want her to stay there in the wintertime and take any chance on getting anything like pneumonia or anything of this kind. It'd be too risky. Let's see what else is new. I'm looking out over here at several islands, and one time we took a boat trip across to them. It looked to me like they're about, probably 20 kilometers away. That'd be about 12 miles. And there are many coral reefs over there, and many coral, beautiful coral that you can see from a glass-bottom boat. And I'd certainly like to take that trip again before we leave here.
Hi, Steve and Donna, Mary and Patrick. It's been quite a while since this tape was started. I haven't listened to any of it, so if there's some repetition in it, why, never mind. By saying never mind, I didn't mean that like it kind of sounded, but it could be repetitious, as I said, because I haven't listened to any of Dad's. It was a rather strange thing. This is Monday night, and we came back from Pattaya yesterday afternoon. We must have got home about 5:30, and I never did get around to talking on this tape down there. I can't settle down to it if there's people around or if there's commotion and coming and going, so I didn't ever talk on it. So I told Dad last night after we got all unpacked and we were kind of settling down for the evening that I'd like to talk to you kids for a while. So he put the tape on. He had it out, I thought, to mail maybe, but he put the tape on. Absolutely blank. Well, he got so excited, he decided he'd gone through what kind of field is it you go through that cleans off a tape? A magnetic field or something. And he fussed and he fumed and he turned it over and he tried both sides and he couldn't find a word on it. He was pretty shook up about it because he said he'd got the sound of the surf on it. He wanted you to hear it. Well, he suddenly discovered that he had a C90 on, and he knew he'd been making this tape on a C120. So then we started to take the house apart, and we could not find it anywhere. And he decided that he'd left it down at Pattaya, and along with his razor, toothbrush, toothpaste, and something else, I've forgotten what. So he wanted me to try and call the Prenia this morning or sometime and get it back. Well, apparently they sent their driver by. They found it yesterday, I guess, before they left, because they leave late at night. And they left this package down at the desk, and on it was this tape. And I take it this is the same tape. I'm sure I won't be able to talk. Well, I don't think. Maybe I can. I'm pretty yacky sometimes. But I don't think I'll be able to fill it. But I'll talk a while anyhow. Dad left this morning for up country. He must have left the house before 7. And it's very quiet, very lonesome in the house when he's gone. It was bad enough when Susan left, and when Dad goes too, it does seem pretty lonesome. Sarah's awfully good company. I'm awfully glad I've got her, but I don't know what I'd do without her. And she has been really pathetic since Susan left. Well, she's getting used to it now. That first week, she just walked around the house, and she'd stand and look at Susan's bed, and she'd cry, and she'd stand and look at me and put her chin on my knee and just look and cry. She just couldn't understand what had happened to Susan. But she's getting a little better, and this afternoon I decided I'd give her a bath and clean her up a little bit, and she had a nice bath, and then I even decided I'd take her for a walk, and it's usually a matter of Sarah taking me for a walk, not me taking her for a walk, and that's the way it was late this afternoon, but she felt much better. I walked down the side of the Tong and across the old footbridge and up the other side, and with her tugging me all the way. She's quite strong. But she had a good time, and after she came back up, she drank a lot of water, and she decided she felt a lot better. So I fixed myself some bacon and eggs and toast for supper. I never do much fussing for meals when Dad's away, and I thought, well, now, there's just Sarah and me here tonight. I guess she can have some bacon, eggs, and toast. So I scrambled her an egg, and fried her some bacon and some toast, and mixed it up for her, and then I made her another piece of toast and put some jelly on it, and she had that. So we had a rather pleasant evening, Sarah and I, this evening. If you can have a pleasant evening when you're all alone except for a dog. I was a little late in shutting the house up, although we have screens on everything. I was a little late in shutting the windows and the screens up on the balconies, and the place got full of mosquitoes, and I managed to get my legs chewed up pretty good. They're real sneaky mosquitoes around here. You don't really see them. They're very small. They don't buzz. And you hardly know you've got it till suddenly you're itching and you maybe have 3 or 4 bites on you. They're a very sneaky breed. We did have a good time in Pattaya. It almost spoils the outing by having to drive the highway. They do have a new highway built down there, but people are just as crazy on that. It's a 4-lane highway, so they try and make it one way and all this sort of stuff. And it's always rather nerve-wracking to drive it. However, we got home faster than usual yesterday because we went at a good time of the day before most people were leaving for home, and also because of this newer road. And we couldn't help but notice the difference as soon as we got into Bangkok this is the noisiest traffic. They have so many hundreds of trucks, and they're all beat up and old, and the black smoke just pours out of them. You'd think it was a camouflage smoke. And it was so noisy, and there was so much traffic, and the air was so dirty. We kind of hated to leave, very much hated to leave and come back here to this rat race. I'm sure that if my family were here, I'd be content to stay down on the shore, on the beach, down there where the air is good and clean, and not like it is here in Bangkok. But I certainly couldn't be content to be down there for the rest of my life without my family being close by, where at least I could telephone them even if I couldn't see you all. I've been trying to think of some of the things that might be interesting to tell you. One of the things, Donna, I'm sure you would be interested in this. The Thai are very artistic in fixing flowers. I think I've told you that before. They'll take a palm leaf, strip it clear down to just the vein part, the middle vein part, and then they string other flowers like jasmine, or they call it a friendship flower. I can't describe it to you. And they make flowers like that. See, and they take rose leaves, rose petals, and using the end that goes into the flower, as we look at it, they use that as the outside and make garlands and things. Anyhow, they're very artistic with their flowers, making different formations, and also in carving fruit. So while we were down there, Boonsri called me to her kitchen. She was carving a melon, a watermelon. And the first thing she did was cut it in half, and then she put it on a plate and peeled off, and they use a very sharp, almost like a stiletto knife, to do this carving with. And they always, you know how we do, we carve towards ourselves or peel towards ourselves. Well, they peel away from themselves and also do any cutting away from themselves. So she cut the green rind off the melon in large type of pieces and rounded them, made it so it was a half of a round melon. It was one of these little round melons. Made a half of that and carved it all around. And then she took this stiletto type of knife, and as the melon sat there, maybe I'm going to try it one of these days. She carved and carved and carved until she had it in like one large flower, which was half of a watermelon. Then she took part of the rind, the green rind, made it the shape of leaves, and carved a little bit in it like the veins in it, and set that around, and it was just beautiful. And as I said, I'm sure you would enjoy that. You do things well with your hands and enjoy doing it. Now, I'm clumsy. I don't do things very well that way. But someday I'm going to try it because it looked interesting, and she showed me how it was done. So, of course, I may end up with a big squashy bunch of melon, but we'll see. Seems we've sold a car. Well, tentatively, at least we got $500 on it. I imagine it's sold. We decided we would not drive it anymore because every time you go out the gate of the apartment, you take a chance on it being smashed all to pieces, and we don't want to do that. So we're just leaving it sitting there now as though we don't have a car. And I rode taxis today for the first time in a long, long time, and I hadn't realized what a convenience it's been to have our own car here, because when I want to run somewhere, I can get in the car and go, and it's a little inconvenient to have to go out and hail a cab down. This morning I was meeting a friend to bowl with, so I had a bowling bag and ball to carry besides, and then I drove with her from the bowling alley down to Usom, which is in the middle of business area. I had to get out there with a bowling ball in my hand, can't hail a cab and come home. So it is inconvenient to be without a car, but we're very relieved that it's been sold, because we certainly didn't want to take it back with us. And it was for a while. You could sell cars very easily, but as so many Americans have pulled out of here, there have been more cars for sale, and the Thai government is becoming so strict about how many vehicles are allowed into the country that they're not selling as fast. So I think we're fortunate maybe that we've got it sold. I suppose Dad described Prenia's home down there. It's a fabulous place. You just wouldn't believe the room. The guest house is about, well, you know our place in Lafayette. Not Lafayette, I mean in Altoona. Well, the guest house is about, the floor space must be at least 3 times that big. This is the guest house I'm speaking of. The living room is, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, it's kind of shaped like a pentagon a little bit, I guess. I don't know how many sides it's got, but there are 5 sides that are jalousie windows that face out towards the bay. And then the middle room, I imagine Dad's told you some of the description of it. This middle room, which is a large meeting place, has 3 sides of this enormous, enormous room, are jalousie windows with the balcony that goes out, and the other end is our sliding doors that go towards where the cars come in. And I imagine you could put 150 people in there, and they have a great big table that must seat about, I suppose maybe 20 people just as it sits there. And all of the tables they have 3 tables in their home and in this big home and in the guest house. And they're great big tables that are made like Lazy Susan tables. They have the middle section that turns. And the main reason for this, they were explaining to me that when you have either a Thai dinner or a Chinese dinner, there are many, many, many dishes, and they put them in the middle, and then you can just pull it around and take it as you want instead of either having to stand up and reach it or have a servant serve you. And their home is, you walk down steps from their lovely living room, which is the same with all these glass walls, the jalousie windows. Walk down into their dining room about 3-4 steps. And then they have, besides this great big living room, this is their own home. They have 1, 2, 3 other sitting rooms that are bigger than our living room is here. And then upstairs they have 3 bedrooms. It's just a fabulous place. She told me, she's a very modest person. He's a multimillionaire, but she says it's way too much. It's too showy. And I think she may have a point there. And yet they're very unproposing people. They're really the nicest people we know, the best friends we have, and the nicest people we know, and you'd never, in meeting them and talking to them and the way they treat us, you'd never know they were so very, very wealthy. They have 1 son who is in the States. He's in Philadelphia interning now, and their daughter-in-law is getting her, I guess it's her master's degree. I don't remember what it's in, whether it's economics or what it is. We went to their wedding here. You probably remember maybe that we told you a lot about it. It was such an elaborate thing. Another little thing I was going to mention, it seems to me that in your last tape, I haven't played it again lately, that you said something about, I took it that you were sending a tie to Dad for his birthday. He's never received it. Maybe you didn't, but I thought that's what you said, and I just thought I'd tell you that if he's not said anything about it, it's because he's never received it. We had sent, it was a watch I'd given C, an old one of mine, a Benrus, back to the States to be repaired for her. And it didn't come, and it didn't come, and it didn't come, so I finally wrote them about it. And this was last July, a year ago, almost a year ago, and they said they had sent it to us. So last week, after they sent us papers, we had to take it to a notary public and have it notarized and all this correspondence back and forth, but they finally sent a new watch. So she's very delighted. I had bought it at the PX, and I think I paid $16 for it, and I had to go out to the post office and sign something from Benrus that they had put in a claim for $47.95, so I don't know if that's what the watch that they sent her sold for or not, but anyhow, she has a new watch, and she's very happy about it. Maybe you recall that we said we were hoping that C would be able to get a job before we left here, and she tried one for 2 or 3 days and didn't like it and told her she could come back. Well, we knew that there was going to be a vacancy in a job available here in the apartment. She had told us about one that she thought she might like to have, and I had said, go ahead and take it whenever you can. But when she tried this other job, she came to us and she said, never mind that you try to get me a job, I'm going to stay with you till you go. But when we came home last night, she said that she was going to start on this other job today, or yesterday, or tomorrow, I mean. And the gal who is her sister-in-law that has worked for us occasionally, spends most of her days here anyhow, would work for us, do our washing and ironing, a little bit of cleaning. Well, this was fine with me. I thought it was very good. And she says, I'm going to try it for a week. And in other words, in a week, if she doesn't like it, she's coming back again. Well, it sure hit Dad wrong. She hadn't talked it over with him, and he was very unhappy with her about it. And she had told us, she'd said she was going to stay here, and he didn't mind that she went, but she hadn't sat down and talked to us about it, especially to Dad. She can't seem to talk to Dad about things. She is timid around men or something. She just can't seem to do it. And he was very unhappy about her doing it in this way. And in fact, when he left this morning, he said it sure made him mad to think Seed done off and left leaving me here more or less alone when he was going to be away. I think that's probably what he was worrying about, because she does take very good care of me when he's gone. She fusses at me too much because I don't like to be fussed over. And so I don't know if she comes back, whether he's going to let her come back or not. But she said she was going to try. It's here in the apartment, and she wants to stay here in the apartment. She's been here longer than any other maids. We've been here longer than anybody else has in the apartment, and she carries a lot of seniority and prestige, and they have quite a class. Oh, I don't know what you'd call it, but anyhow, she's number one around here as far as the maids go, and she wanted to stay here in the apartment. So I hope it works out. They're English people, and I tried to explain to her that they aren't going to be like us or act like us, and she's going to have to get used to them, and they're going to have to get used to her just like we did she with us and us with her. But whether she does this, I don't know, because I think she figures in a week she can come back if she doesn't like it. And as I said before, whether Dad lets her back feeling the way he does, I'm not sure he will, because he was a little upset. There's no doubt about it. We've spoiled C. She's spoiled us too, but we've also spoiled her. We've this whole darn thing up. Anyhow, we have had, don't let her have any servitude attitude, none of this ducking under our heads and coming in on her knees and this sort of thing, which so many people like in their servants to do. And of course, most of the Thai servants behave this way. If they serve you something, it's on their knees, and they never have their head higher than yours. If you're sitting down, they duck and walk in front of you. We haven't had that with C, and whether these other people will expect it, I don't know. Most of them, well, practically everyone calls you Madame, and the man of the house is called Master. and we didn't even like that. So his dad says, well, she doesn't call us anything. It's kind of To other people, she called us Mr. Schott and Mrs. Schott, but she doesn't speak our names, and she doesn't say Madame and Master to us either. When the Thais have a very strange way, to them the word sir is apparently just respect, and they most always call a woman sir. And I corrected C once because she's trying to learn English, and I told her not to call me sir and why. So with that, she didn't call us anything. I guess maybe I, kind of confused her. Dad's, well, he's overworked to start with. He's just beside himself. He's got so much to do before we leave. And it's showing in his disposition. He's very impatient. I think that was one reason he was so upset with C last night, was that he was not looking forward to this trip that he has to take. He had an unpleasant duty to perform up there, for one thing, and he's been worrying about it, and he's worrying about all of his work, and I think maybe that is why he was more upset than I would have expected him to be, because he's so impatient with things. If he loses something or can't find something, I don't like to see him get like that. He's as anxious to get out of here as I am. When we go to Pattaya, we think, oh, we'd love to stay. But then he comes back to this nightmare of a job that he has, which is becoming at this moment. And it's, well, he needs to get away from here worse than I do. And that's saying a lot. So he has a hard trip. Won't be home till Thursday. He has a hard trip. And I'm hoping when he comes back that maybe he can relax a little bit. I don't know that he can, but I'll see if I can't help him try it. The women that I bowled with have all left, ones that we used to bowl with all the time, so the only bowling that I have done has been with your dad, and we go once, maybe sometimes twice a week, and we really enjoy going. It's relaxing, and we both like to do it. I love it, and Dad seems to too, and we enjoy going together. One of the, well, it's a man that works for Dad that's come not too long ago, and his wife is here. She doesn't know how to bowl, so I asked her one day if she wouldn't like to learn. There's an instructor that I know about here, and so I've been going with her every morning, and I don't get as much bowling in as usual, but it's fun to go, and she's learning, and then maybe we can, before I go, we can get in some bowling on a regular basis. A week ago, let's see, well, it was Sunday, a week ago Sunday. Monday was your dad's birthday, and he had meetings all that week, FAO meetings all that week. So Sunday I went with him out to the golf course, and he golfed a little bit. It was quite early in the morning. Then we went back to the Chow Officers Club to get a check cashed. We were going to go bowling and then have dinner or something. We met this same woman. Her name's LeJune. She'd had a fuss with her husband, and she'd decided to take off for the day, so she'd gone down to a hotel and was going to go somewhere else. So we persuaded her to go with us, and we went to the King nightclub, which is a Thai nightclub. Dad's been trying to get me to go there for a long time. He goes with the Thai guys at noon, and I wouldn't go, but we went down there, and they had a wonderful floor show. It's a very nice nightclub, and they had a wonderful floor show, as good as I've seen for years. And Dad had met the singer with these Thai guys, so she came over to the table and sat with us. She didn't know any English, but we managed to converse a little bit with her. She gave us a recording. She's one of the singers, and she's also an actress. So she gave us one of her records and a picture with her signature on it. And so then we had, well, it's chicken and cashew nuts, which is a delicious Chinese dish, Donna. If you could find the recipe and learn to make it, it's, I know, Steve, you'd like it. It's one of the few Chinese foods that I like, and it's very, very good. That's what we had for lunch. So then we left there, and we went bowling. LeJune went with us. Dad and I bowled about 4 or 5 games. And then there's at the hotel, one of the nice hotels here, they have kind of a happy hour or something like that at the Cat's Eye Bar, which is quite a fascinating bar, and anybody that wants to can get up and perform. And they have it every Sunday afternoon, so we went over there and stayed for about 2 hours, a jam session kind of thing, and had some drinks, and then where'd we go? Then I guess we went over to Chow for dinner, and then we put LaJune in a Chow Pia cab and sent her home. But we had a real nice day and a very full day. We started out early in the morning, about 9, we started out about 8 o'clock, and got home after dinner in the evening about 10, I guess, something like that, 9 or 10. And poor little old Sarah, when we go out, when she was a little puppy, when we first got her, when she wasn't housebroke, all bathrooms here have tile floors, and they're all lower than about 3 inches lower than the rest of the house and have drains in them. And the reason for that is that that's where most of the maids do their washing on the floor in there, and they just pour buckets of water and scrub on the floor. So we thought that was a good place to put Sarah when she was a puppy, and we would close her in the bathroom, and we thought, well, if she cried, nobody'd hear her. If she piddled, nobody wouldn't bother anybody. So that became a habit, and we would put her in there whenever we left, put her bed in there. So whenever we go away, she just looks at us and walks in the bathroom, turns around, waits for us to shut the door. It's real cute. So it's quite pathetic, but she does it. And now that Sunday that we were out, that poor dog was in there, about 8 hours. When we came home, well, you know how some dogs do. Frida is one of them, and I've forgotten what dog we had. If they're delighted to see you and really love you, they piddle a little bit. When you come home, they scream and carry on. Well, she piddled quite a bit, the poor little thing. But she hadn't made a mess or done a thing, and we rushed her right downstairs because she had to go very bad. But that poor dog had been in there, and she hadn't made a noise. She is so good. But now, if you leave her in the house, she'll cry all the time she's in here and scratch at the door. But you put her in the bathroom, she just stays in there real good. So that's where the poor little dog goes whenever we leave the house. And when I came home today, after I'd been bowling, Gal had come to wash, and she was in here. But you should hear Sarah scream. She's not a barking dog, but she screams just like a human being when I finally come home, and dribbles a little bit and licks me all over and jumps, and she really does carry on. Well, it won't be too much longer, will it, before the new grandbaby gets here? I figured maybe about 4 months. Is that about hitting it about right? Because I'm figuring 3 months before we head for home, we'll be out of here, have to be out of here, and should be in the States by the 15th. So I'm hoping for a little before that, the 15th of May. Hoping to be able to leave before that. We don't know yet just what day, and all we know is it's going to be before the 15th of May. So that's a little less by a day or so than 3 months. And when I look around at all the stuff we've got, and trying to think about getting it home, and we can't decide where in the world to go. We know where to go, but I mean where to send our furniture. We have all that stuff in Des Moines. We'd like to go through and check a lot of it. I don't know why we ever packed it. We've got what did we send, about 400 pounds that we sent to Jim's when we went on home leave, that's stored in some storage plant in Denver. And we've got all this stuff here. And one day we think, well, we'll take it all and take part of our duplex and move it in. And then we decide, well, we don't want to stay there in the winter. Maybe we'll just go to Virginia and get us an apartment or a house in Virginia, plus the cottage, but that has to be fixed up. We can't move all this stuff in it. There wouldn't be room for all of our things. And maybe we'll go there. We might even go a little further south. Dad thinks we should go where it's warmer. Then Colorado. So it seems that every week we change our mind about what we're really going to do with all of this stuff, and we've really got to make our minds up before too long about what we're going to do. But it's quite a decision to make, and I know the move is going to be a big job, even though they come and move it for us. Getting it packed safely into boxes and safely into a Connex box downstairs, which they usually bring, and sealed in. And it has to be watched from our door. Well, from the minute it's put in the box. You have to watch and put it in the box, seal it up, and watch it go downstairs and be put in the Connex, and just have somebody there watching it so that we get it all when we get home. So I'm sure it's going to be a big chore, and gee, I'm sure can't wait till the day comes. When Susan dropped us a note, she wrote us a nice letter, that Paul and Jean had taken John to the hospital. He had croup, and they put him in the hospital for 48 hours. I guess this was the day she arrived because the Renaults went out and picked her up at the airport because Paul and Jean, I guess, were at the hospital. It's a shame that they've had so much trouble with his respiratory ailments, bronchitis, and now this croup. I'm certainly hoping it was nothing serious. I must write them, or I should make a tape for them. Both of their kids, Mike had, if you remember when he first came here, within the first month, he got pneumonia. When he was with us in Altoona, before Paul went to Vietnam, if you recall, he had his first attack of bronchitis was when we had him there in Altoona. And I guess the two of them have this one thing that is health-wise that is quite a problem with him. And it's unfortunate. I guess maybe Mike's outgrown a lot of his, and maybe John will his. We certainly hope so. When Paul had, no, it wasn't Paul. It was Paul's friend that came through. I think I told you that. And he had been home for a few days. He's on his way back. When he came back, he stopped by here and said that Jean was quite sick with the flu, and they were trying to farm Mike out to relieve her a little bit. So it's unfortunate they've had that illness. Well, the last we heard from you kids, you were all well, except for the sniffles for the children, and I hope that you're all staying that way. You'd had a little more than your share of illness, too. Plus accidents, plus broken birds' legs, plus kittens. And we saw a man, Steve, that had got sunburned, and I guess it was the same kind you had. They were PASA team members on their way back to India, and they'd been on a trip. They'd been down to Penang, in Malaysia, and they'd all been out in the sun at equal time, but he was crippled. He had this burn, which I would suppose would like you had, until he couldn't walk. And his legs were huge. He had swelled up so, and he got infection. Of course, infection's terrible in this country, and he got infection in these burns. And Dad took them out the medical unit while they were here, and we trust that they recovered sufficiently when he got back home. I sure hated to have him go back to India, of all places, with infections like that. Your Aunt Alice and Will started on a 6 weeks tour to Africa on about same day, I guess, that Susan left here, about the 5th. So they sent us their itinerary, and yet they are certainly going to have a wonderful, wonderful trip. It sounded terribly exhausting because they'd only stay about 1 or 2 nights in each place, but they're going all over Africa. I feel very badly that grandmother is alone there, and she certainly is alone with Alice there and me here. And she had told me, grandmother, that she just simply hated to have Alice go to India, or to Africa. I'm sure it's because she, thinks of the wild animals, and as Alice said to Mother, I'm not going to be eaten with a wild animal. I've been with the bears in Yellowstone, and they never ate me, and I don't think the animals in Africa are going to eat me, but I'm sure it's because we've always heard of darkest Africa, and all the things that are there. These places aren't as wild as you think they are, and especially if you can stay in places that aren't dangerous, and I'm sure no tour is going to be exposing their high-paying customers to unnecessary dangers. Personally, I'd rather have the dangers of wild animals than some of these infiltrators that are in this country. Not that we run into them, but I'm sure we have and haven't known it. Well, I'm sure Dad has and has known it, but they are here, and I don't know, you just learn to pay no attention to it, I guess, although it's always there. And I feel, it's a personal thing, but I feel someday the top's going to blow off over here. I don't want to be here when it does either. There is a new man who's come in agriculture, in the agricultural department here. I think he's program officer or something. And his wife, and when a new wife comes in, some other woman that has been here has to take her around and acquaint her with the social end of Bangkok. I've been through it time and time again with folks, and I seem to be the only wife available, so I'm taking her next Thursday, this Thursday. Anyhow, I have to take her to the ambassador's home to meet the ambassador's wife, and take her to the USOM director's home, and to the deputy director's home, and later to the deputy ambassador's home. I don't enjoy doing this sort of thing. I've done it a lot. I did it for myself, and I've done it for so many people. It gets to be old hat, but it's an obligation that has to be done. The longer you live here, at least that's the way I am, the longer you live here, the more ridiculous it seems that you have to do this sort of thing, but it's protocol, and I must carry on. And of course, it's going to be inconvenient because I don't have the car now, so it'll be a matter of either getting a USOM car or a taxi, and that is inconvenient. But anyhow, that little job's got to be done and taken care of in the next month, part this week. I've just rattled on and on here, and haven't said anything to the children, but then I'm sure they would long ago have been tired of listening to this sort of thing, but I can't wait to see them. I know they've grown up and they're such beautiful children. As I said before, how two kids could look so much like each of their parents, the little girl like her mother and the little boy like her dad, I don't know. I never got any of my kids to look like me. They did look like their dad, more or less, all of you, but, handsome group of kids. And they all got handsome wives, too, I might add. But we are counting the days till we get home. I'm not going to try and finish this tape. It's, let's see, it's 9 o'clock now, and I've been yakking for quite some time. I'm in the bedroom with the air conditioner going. Susan and I are in here. And I think I'll just settle down, read for a while, work some crossword puzzles, and might get sleepy after a while. I'm going to go again in the morning to bowl with Lejeune, but then she's going to go on a little trip with her husband, so I won't be seeing her. Dad will be home Thursday. I have an appointment tomorrow for an eye examination, which I can get through the medical unit, and I haven't had new glasses since I've been here. And I guess I need them. We took our physicals last week. We're all caught up on our shots, and they told us we have to come in again 2 weeks before we leave because sometimes the smallpox shot has, in case it depends on what the situation is in the country you might be going through or to. Sometimes it's changed. We're caught up on it, but at the moment there is an epidemic in Germany, so she told me. And if you're going to stop in Germany, you have to get another smallpox shot within however many weeks. But we had all the rest of our exams, and that part of it's taken care of. So as we go along, we're doing a little dabble here, a little dabble there, and every time we do a little more towards going home, it seems like it's getting closer. So you all take real good care of your dear selves. You know we love you very, very much. And saying we miss you is putting it very mildly. And we're looking forward so much to seeing you, and we're so happy about the new baby coming, and that you seem to be very happy and well situated, and just don't work too hard, either one of you. Give the little ones a love for their Grammy, and your granddad too. Tell them we love them very much. Maybe Mary might be able to remember us a little bit, and we'll try and get acquainted with them gently so we don't scare them off when we come home. Take good care of yourselves, dear ones, and goodbye for now.